In this video, we're going to talk about how to use EFT to heal a negative self-body image so you end up feeling much better about yourself in general. And if you're looking for love, it can be very helpful in that area as well. My name is Stefan Gonick. I'm an expert EFT practitioner and founder of the Soulmate Attraction Academy from single-to-soulmate.me, and this is Love Talk Q&A. Now, there's so many of us that have parts of our bodies that we don't like or even hate. And this is such a common experience and a really costly one because it can have a very big impact on our self-esteem. You know, if we don't like how our body looks and we try and walk around in the world, we're not going to feel very good about ourselves. And if you're looking for love, then that can make you feel really insecure as you try to talk to somebody that you find very attractive because you feel like maybe my body is not so attractive, right? So this is a really wonderful thing to heal. And what ultimately we want to do is figure out the sources of our negative self-body image and then use EFT to heal those. But before we get into that, I want to address one of the main blocks that I encounter as I work with people in this area. And it's so common. Actually, I want to start with the block. So one of the most common blocks is that people have this feeling that, the goal here is to become much more self-accepting and appreciative of our bodies, right? Including the parts that we currently don't like or even hate. And one of the very first objections I get is a person will say, well, if I accept this part of my body that I currently don't like, then I'll have no motivation to change it, to make it better, right? So, it's a very understandable misconception. But the paradox is that if we have a part of our body that we don't like, we are essentially, or even hate, that means we are essentially rejecting that part of our body. So when we reject a part of our body, that part of our body kind of shuts down and goes into defense. So for instance, if one of the things we hate about our body is that there's extra weight there, or it feels like it's too weak, if it's, maybe you want more muscles there or something like that. When we reject that part of our body, the body goes into defense, which lots of times means holding on to weight to feel safer. Ironically, even against ourselves, right? So as we feel hatred or rejection towards this body part, it actually makes it harder to, do things to help make that part, help improve that body part, to lose weight, to gain strength, or whatever it is that we're ideally wanting to do. Carl Rogers, the founder of humanistic psychotherapy, has this famous quote that says, "The paradox is that the more I can accept myself as I am, then I can change." So what we want to do is when we come to a place of self-acceptance around our bodies, it doesn't mean that we'll become complacent and go, okay, well, nothing I have to do there. It's that we'll be coming from a place of self-care, self-love, and wanting to be really healthy, right? So we can either try and lose weight by beating ourselves up for being too fat, or we can go, you know what, I want to eat healthy, I want to exercise, I want to take good care of myself from a place of self-appreciation, self-love, right? That kind of thing works much better because if we feel like we can accept the different parts of our bodies as they are, even though we might prefer that we can make changes to them in some way, that's what will make it actually easier to do those changes. So I wanted to start there because, like I said, I hear this so many times when I work with clients in this area of trying to help them with their body image. So now, how do we heal this using EFT? Well, there's a couple different things you can do. When you think about, where does our negative self-body image come from, there's a few different sources. One of the sources is society as a whole. Right? Especially for women, but also for men, is we see these people that are supposed to represent perfection in bodies, right? We see these supermodels that are super skinny, right? These really skinny bodies. Or for men, you see these men who are these bodybuilder type guys with these really big muscles. And then we compare ourselves to that, and then we feel bad about ourselves. We feel like, I weigh too much, or I'm too skinny, or I'm not enough muscles, or who knows what. But we make these negative comparisons. So that's one source of having negative feelings about our body. Another source is that sometimes as we grow up, we hear negative comments about our body. it's not uncommon if you have a bunch of siblings, even just one actually, that sibling will start teasing us about our body. I'll never forget, I had this girlfriend a long time ago who was super slender, including really small, slender butt, okay? And she got teased by her family as having a big butt. And so she grew up as an adult thinking she had a really big butt. But then if you actually looked, there was no big butt there. It was very, very slender, right? So getting teased, or criticized can cause a negative self-body image. Sometimes it's very overt. It's not some sort of little playful teasing thing or annoying teasing thing, right? It might be that some parents will, because of their own issues, will start making negative comments to a very young child. They'll make comments about, let's say it's a 6-year-old girl that, oh, you shouldn't eat that because you're going to gain weight. And in fact, here, let's put you on a diet. Because little girls can have some baby fat. Little boys have a little baby fat, right? When you're young, you're going to have that. And then parents from their own issues will, get worried about it at this really young age. And then they'll start making the child feel bad about her or himself. The other kind of thing that can cause a negative self-body image is have a parent who's very concerned or critical with their own body, right? So they may not ever criticize their child, but if they verbalize out loud all these self-criticisms about their own body, that becomes a model for the young child, right? So if I'm a little girl and my mother is saying, oh, I don't like this part of myself, or I don't like this, or I hate how my arms do that, or my thick fat thighs, or some such thing, then the little girl will learn that being critical of one's body is how things are, right? And to start looking at her own body from a critical place. Even if she doesn't have the same imperfections that her mother had, she'll still look at her body negatively. The irony is, if you look at these supermodels and you interview them, you will find out, even these ones that are supposedly the most beautiful women in the world, they will also have critical thoughts about their own bodies. So there is no perfect, right? So what we ideally want to do is come to a place of acceptance, okay? Acceptance and appreciation even. And so this brings us to, how do we use EFT to do that? Because remember, once you get to a place of acceptance and appreciation, either it'll make that part of your body easier to change because you're not rejecting anymore, so it's not like hunkering down in defense, and so it'll be more amenable to change. Or there may be some parts of your body that are not changeable, and you come to a place of acceptance about it. It's like, okay. For instance, I don't have a lot of hair on top. I suppose I could get hair implants or whatever, but I tapped on it and I came to a place of acceptance, like, okay. And then it doesn't hurt my self-esteem anymore. I don't walk around feeling insecure about, the lack of hair that I have on the top of my head. I just feel okay about it. I don't look at it and go, well, it looks great, but I also don't look at it and go, oh man, that really looks bad. I wish it was different. I've come to a place of acceptance about it. So that allowed me to walk around feeling, good about myself, not feeling some sort of negative thing about that part of myself. So there's two ways that we use EFT to address all this. One of the ways is to heal some of these early experiences that I was just talking about. If you got teased for having a big butt or whatever, or just any kind of negative comments or criticisms, what we want to do is heal example memories of that happening. So if you had a brother who was always making these negative remarks, or a parent who did it, or whoever, or a parent who criticized their own body, things like that, you want to think of the youngest memories you can remember. Doesn't have to be the youngest, but just whatever the youngest you can remember are. And you want to heal those memories. Now, if you don't know how to use EFT to heal memories, I have another video called How to Heal Painful Memories with EFT, which I encourage you to watch that so you can learn how to do that. But if you heal a few representative memories, around 3, of the negative experiences you're having, right? So, like I said, if you got negative comments, you want to pick 3 memories of the person doing that, your sibling, your parent, whoever it was, or kids at school, wherever you experience this, And that's going to help a lot. If you heal 3 representative memories. And I like using for those 3 what I call first and worst. What's the first time you remember it happening, the youngest? And then what are 2 of kind of the worst, most painful experiences you remember having of that nature? Okay, so these are the kinds of things that really kind of anchor your negative feelings about yourself in your psyche. Right? So if you have those kinds of early childhood experiences, then you want to heal those first. You want to start there. If you don't have those, or you've already healed them now, using the method I just suggested, the next step is actually very straightforward. It's going to sound too simple, but it actually works really well. And remember, the whole point of EFT tapping is about releasing negative energy, right? So our goal with EFT always is to focus on the negative feelings we're having and then name them in some way, right? And then tap, repeating that phrase that we use to name the negative feelings, and just keep tapping through the points over and over again until we release all the negative energy. So one of the ways you do that with a negative body image is you pick a part of your body that, let's say you dislike the most. Let's say, example, fat thighs. I hate my fat thighs, right? Something like that. And then you get a little bit more specific about it. It's like, okay, well, what do you hate about your fat thighs, right? And it's like, well, I hate that they look fat, or I hate that cottage cheesy, bumpiness on my thigh, or whatever it is for you, right? And that becomes your phrase. I hate the cottage cheesy look of my thigh. Okay, so you then would start tapping on that phrase. Now if you have multiple body parts that you don't like, you don't want to try and address them all at once. You have to pick one at a time, because what we're going to do is we're going to keep tapping on our negative feelings about that body part until we feel neutral about that body part. We don't have that negative feeling anymore. Kind of like the thing with my hair thing. I feel neutral about it. It doesn't bother me at all anymore. So I would just go, even though, I hate my fat cottage cheesy thighs, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. And you say that 3 times, and then at every point, I hate my cottage cheesy, fat thighs. I hate my cottage cheesy fat thighs. You just keep doing this, put energy into it, like really get into the hate, right? Get into the energy. And do multiple rounds. You want to start by measuring how much you hate that part of your body. So let's say it's a 9 out of 10, right? And so you're going to do, say 3 rounds on that. And then you'll look at that body part in the mirror again, and then check in now. Okay, now, how strong is my hatred of that body part? Well, maybe after 3 rounds, it went from a 9 to a 6 or 7, somewhere around like that. So, okay, good, making some progress. And then you just do the whole thing again. Even though I hate this part of my body because of this, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself, while tapping 3 times on your crotch up point. And then again, I hate, my saggy arms. I hate my saggy arms. I hate whatever it is, right? Anyway, just do round after round after round, and eventually you'll come to a place of neutrality on that body part. But we actually don't have to stop there, because we can take it a little further. Once you get down to neutral, then you want to start thinking about, well, what can I appreciate about that body part? Right? We want to bring in some positive energy. We've released the negative energy. Now we like to bring in some positive energy. So in the case of my thighs, my fat thighs, right? Well, what can I appreciate about my thighs? Well, one thing I can appreciate about my thighs, or my legs in general, is that they carry me forward really well. I can walk, I can run, I can dance, whatever it is that we do with legs. I can climb mountains. That's a really good part of my legs, including my thighs. Right? Another thing that you might appreciate about a body part is the sensual pleasure that you get when that part of your body is touched. If it's touched in this sensual way, that feels really good, right? As long as I'm not hating that part, so it makes it hard for me to feel anything there, right? But if I've released a lot of this negative energy, I might even, start stroking that part of my body softly in a sensual way, go, wow, that actually feels really good. And maybe, while making love, it feels even better, right? So then we want to do is start tapping some positive rounds on these appreciations. My thighs help me walk and get around everywhere I want to go. They help me run. They help me dance. They're great for getting around in every way that I need to in my life, right? So you do a few rounds on that, and you see they feel so nice when they're touched. The sensual pleasure is just so yummy. You try and get into the positive appreciation, right, as best you can, and you do some rounds of that. So like I say, we clear the negative energy towards that body part, and then we try and bring in some positive energy. And then what you'll find is, for those parts of your body that are just unchangeable, you're going to feel a lot better. You're not going to hate that part of your body more. You're not going to even dislike it. At worst, you'll feel neutral, or you might feel some positive feelings even. And the parts of your body that potentially are changeable, because maybe you can lose weight or you can build some muscle or whatever, you're going to come from a place of caring. Like, yeah, I want to make my legs even better. I want to be able to walk more easily. I want to be able to run more easily, dance more easily, jump more easily, whatever it is, So and that part of your body is not going to be in a defense place where it's trying to protect itself, and so it'll be much more amenable to change. So, like I said, also, if you're not sure about how to heal painful memories with EFT, it's really important you do that part first. I have another video. I'll have a link to it at the end of this video that'll just take you straight there if you want to check that out, because that part is really important. If you just hap on hating different parts of your body, that may work without dealing with young memories, but you may find that it comes down some and seems to plateau, doesn't keep coming down. The negative feelings don't keep coming down, and that's a sure sign that you really need to heal some of these early memories. Okay, now I'd like to end with a very interesting story that I found personally very enlightening. I think it may help you as well. Many years ago, I read about this very interesting research study that they did about women's perception of their own bodies and versus women's perception of what they thought men found attractive in a woman's body. And it went like this. They had a card that had all these different body types on it, starting from really skinny to very heavy and every grade in between. And all the women in the study were asked two questions. Where do you find your body in the chart? Which of these bodies do you think matches your own body? And which of these body types do you think men find the most attractive? And then they also had an observer of each woman who would, more objectively pick the body type from the chart that they thought matched the woman who was in the study. Now, they then brought in a whole bunch of men who looked at all these body types on this card, and the men were simply just had to choose which body type they found the most attractive, right? So we have the actual truth of what men found attractive. And here are the results. Two things happened. One is that the women generally picked a body type that was bigger than their own actual body. So they had this inaccurate perception of what their body was actually like, and women in general picked, like I said, in the gradation from skinny to heavy, they picked a body type that was a couple notches bigger than they actually were. Okay, and then the other thing is that when the body type that the women as a group thought that men found the most attractive was about 3 body types skinnier than what the men themselves had actually picked. So this is kind of amazing when you think about it, right? Women have this idea of what they think men find attractive, lots of times based on all the models, like in particular supermodels, right? These are supposed to be the most beautiful women in the world, and yet, and they also didn't have very inaccurate view of their own bodies. So they think they're bigger than they are, and then then there's these supermodels that they think men then like really very, very slender women. And men, if you talk to them, I've talked to them, my own perception is I'll look at a supermodel and I'll go, okay, yeah, her face is very pretty, but she's too skinny, right? It's way too thin. So there's this very inaccurate perceptions that come through based on what we see in ads and all this other stuff. So the reason why I want to bring this up is, first of all, this may apply to you and your own perception of your own body. So you want to it'd be nice to get some, like objective, feedback from friends as to what you look like. And also what you think men like, assuming I'm talking to a woman here, of course, you know, you may have a very inaccurate idea about that. It may be bigger than what you think it is that they like. So I'm just saying this is kind of a thing to help you feel more encouraged about the situation, and just to bring all this stuff to your awareness. Because to me, it was quite stunning when I first read about this study. So I thought I would share it with you guys. So in any case, if you found this video helpful, it would help me and other people on YouTube to find the video if you click on the like button. You're also very welcome to subscribe to my channel to get more helpful videos like this. I also have I have 2 different websites. I have a free mini course on my single2soulmate.me website called The 3 Secrets to Attracting Amazing Love, which talks about the key blocks to finding love and how you can clear them so you can be with your soulmate in the shortest time possible. And then on my other website called EFTalive.com, I have a free ebook that you can get that is called Change Your Beliefs, Change Your Life. That teaches you how to use EFT to change negative limiting beliefs into much more positive ones. And then there's a whole series of newsletters afterwards that have very useful, helpful ways of using EFT to enhance your life. And in fact, this video is one of those newsletters. So in any case, keep tapping, and I'll see you on the next one.